Hey, I'm Roland with mobilegeeks.com and .de, and what we have right here is the new Medion Akoya P2211T. So this is basically an 11.6-inch tablet combined with a keyboard dock. And the tablet part contains a full HD display, is based on an Intel Bay Trail SoC. In this case, it's the Celeron 2910 quad core. And the keyboard part actually contains a second battery and a 500 gig hard drive. So it's basically what Asus is going to do, or is trying to do, with their Transformer T100TA, which is a 10-inch kind of transformer design. They're just about to be released with the hard drive, the integrated hard drive. Those models are not available, but Medion is already doing this in the P2211T nowadays. And this just came out in Germany a couple of weeks ago. At least I think it actually went on sale last week. It starts out at 449 euros, and in Austria this actually was available for just 400 euros through Aldi, or the Austrian counterpart of that. For our US viewers, this might be interesting because Medion is about to start selling their stuff in the US. They've just come out with a tablet in the US, and this might also be available through the Aldi stores, like the grocery chain in the US. Let's just get straight to it. So I'm just going to quickly show you the specs right here. As you can see, it's an 11.6-inch screen based on the N2910 quad-core Bay Trail Celeron right there. 2 gigs of RAM, 64 gigs of SSD storage in the tablet part, 500 gigs in the keyboard base, and a full HD screen actually, plus AC Wi-Fi, so you get gigabit speeds, Bluetooth 4.0, 2 cells in the tablet, and 3-cell battery in the docking part, the keyboard dock. And this is based on Windows 8.1, so it's actually fully touch enabled and stuff. Let me just get this out of its box for you guys quickly. And there we go. Let's start out with the accessory box first. So as you can see right here, there's a full power brick included. This is actually, I think this is a 40 watts power brick, standard size. It's actually pretty big for a tablet. If you have ever owned a notebook, you probably know this kind of size devices or power bricks. They actually have a power switch on the power brick itself right here. Standard device cable right there, proprietary plug on this one. This is just the cable right there, and let's dig deeper down into the accessory box. You get security instructions, which is actually kind of a thick book because there's like 20 languages in there for the European markets. You get a recovery DVD with Windows 8.1 on it, and another CD or DVD with applications and a couple of other things. It's kind of interesting that they always put those optical media in the boxes with devices that don't actually have an optical drive, right? This is just a huge, kind of a big poster telling you about all the ports and buttons on the Medion Akoya P2211, and this is the quick installation guide. Basically just tells you to remove the foil, plug in the battery, and get this device started. Then we have a voucher code from Cyberlink with which they give you like Photo Director and a couple of other apps. And yeah, this is the warranty book in this case, because again, it's containing a bunch of languages. And yeah, so that pretty much is it in the accessory box. And let's get to the device itself. I'm just going to put this aside for a second. And there we go. That's the Medion Akoya P2211T itself. Let me just get this out of here for you. So that's the device. What else is in this kind of plastic bag right here? We get another advisory sheet that actually tells you not to step on the device or put any heavy weights on it. So you might crush the display or make it scratch on the keyboard. They give you this lovely sleeve to actually clean the screen. And there you go, that's the Medion Akoya P2211T itself. This is also included, again, supposed to protect a bit against scratches on the screen. And that's the device itself. I'm just gonna undock it for a second. So you have a switch up here, just push that and get out the tablet part. I'm just gonna rip off the foil for you right here. There you go. And come on, get off. There you go. So this is the tablet part of the Medion Akoya P2211T. It's an 11.6 inch screen, as I said. It actually is a HVA panel, so this is not a IPS display, but it's got pretty good viewing angles, so you won't have any problems like from TN panels or other older technologies. It has a full HD resolution at a price of just 400 euros or dollars. This is very good. You also get the N2910 Celeron in there, quad-core 1.6 GHz Bay Trail-based chip. It has a higher TDP than the Atom Z3740 that's in devices like the Asus Transformer T100 TA, but it's totally fine. It's just a little bit slower, and it basically gives you the same long run times and a lot of power compared to the older Atom or even some Celeron based CPUs. As you can see on this screen, it actually has good colors. Let me just unlock this for you. And, oops, I got that wrong. There you go. And let me just start to the screen right there. So you get 3 rows of live tiles right there. The colors are pretty good. Even the viewing angles are pretty awesome. It's not an IPS panel, as I said, but still decent viewing angles on this from all sides. So you won't have any problems reading anything. Let's start out showing off the tablet part itself. We have a 1.3 megapixel camera up here, and that's pretty much it on the front. That's my Skype starting in the background right there. We have the brightness sensors up here on the left side right there. There's nothing on the bottom. I don't think this is actually a capacitive button. I'm just gonna try and, oh yes it is. And there's even a tiny LED in there that tells you that you have just pressed the button. There's no vibration. I don't know if it's deactivated or anything, but right now it doesn't vibrate. Again, it's also playing a sound, but sometimes it's just, yeah, it always goes bing. Nice to know that they do that for you. As you can see, you end up with pretty small text on the screen because the device is actually having a very high resolution at a size of just 11.6 inches. So if you don't have the best eyes, you might want to consider a device with a lower resolution, or you can use the scaling modes of Windows 8, which just do not work on all programs as of yet. So that's why I've set it to the smallest setting right here. Let's get going around the device. Up here on the left side, we have the power button, the volume rocker right there. That is the headset jack. We have a micro SD card slot right there. That's the micro HDMI out. So as opposed to a couple of other devices, Medion is actually putting in a micro HDMI out, so you can actually put this connected to your full HD TV or whatever other screen you have and use it as a desktop replacement. We have one USB 3.0 port right here and a USB 2.0 port of full size on this tablet right here. That is a mic, and this is not actually a fan vent, but one of the speakers. If you turn this around, you get the other speaker on the, let me just try and get the camera to zoom. There you go. That's the second speaker, stereo speakers actually, and Dolby sound. On the bottom of the device, you get those 2 holes for the keyboard dock. This is a power and USB 3 connector for the hard drive and the other stuff that's in the bottom and the keyboard part. And this is actually the AC port for plugging in the power brick. On the back you get no actual camera right there, but you get a kind of a matte finish. It actually is very nice to hold in your hand. The whole device is 840 grams. If you add in the base, you end up with another 840 grams, so the combined weight is actually just under 1.7 kilograms on this. Yeah, and that's pretty much it on the tablet. There's 2 gigs of RAM in there and a 64 gig SSD. Again, a very, very nice hardware setup for a device that is coming in just around 400 or 450 euros. Let's get going to the keyboard dock then. Medion has actually managed to come up with a nice solution that has both good quality and very, very low price. So the keyboard is actually really good. It has decent sized keys on it. There's no flexing in the keyboard itself. It's really nice to type on actually, and all the buttons are pretty well made. I didn't actually expect this to be this good because Medion is actually known to be a low-end manufacturer. They always put out cheap and sometimes crappy notebooks, but this one is actually really good even at this price. So if I press right here, there's no flexing, nothing really going on. There's a tiny bit of flexing, but it doesn't really bother anybody. Wouldn't bother me in any way. The shift key on the right side is actually huge. The one on the left is a lot smaller. In the US, you have one less key on the keyboard, so you probably will be having a shift key that is just about this big. It's really, really good to type on, as I said. So definitely a decent keyboard. The size is totally fine with me, and you also get a pretty nice trackpad on this. So it's clickable. There's no actual physical mouse buttons in here. So just as nowadays, it's clickable, and that's pretty much it. It is pretty big for a device of this size. Up here we have the lock for the tablet dock itself, so you always keep sliding this from the left to the right, and there's no spring in there, so you might have to get used to this, and I kind of failed a couple of times to unlock it. But if you've gotten used to that, it works pretty well. Up here we have the hooks for putting in the tablet itself. That's the data connector and the power connector for the bottom for the base part, and on the left of the keyboard dock you actually get another power plug or another AC in and 2 more USB ports. So in the end you end up with 4 USB ports on an 11.6-inch device, which is pretty good for that price and the size. The bottom of the keyboard dock is actually totally locked up. You won't be able to upgrade anything in this. You could switch out the 500 gig hard drive in this for an SSD, so you might want to consider this. What else is there? On the left, they have this interesting kind of contraption going on right here. There is nothing behind this. A couple of viewers of or readers of our blog actually saw the pictures of this device when it got announced and thought that this would be a optical drive, but it isn't. It's basically just a blind spot right here. Behind this flap, there's nothing going on. I can't even get it out of there, so I have no idea what that is. What's nice about this is, or a difference towards the Asus T100 is actually the hinge back here. It does have its own rubber feet, so as opposed to the T100 TA, you won't end up with a device that starts to like kind of slide around on the table when you put it down. It just stands there and just sits there right there. That is actually something that is kind of annoying on the T100. Let me just put in the tablet again, and when you push it down, it actually flips in the stuff. As you can see on the right side of the screen, it actually just discovered the additional partitions that are on the 500 gig hard drive in the keyboard dock. and there's also the recovery on the hard drive in the keyboard dock. So you end up with just under 57 gigs of SSD storage, of which just about 48, I think, are available to the user after setting this up and getting the device started. Let me just close this down for you so you can see how thick the whole thing is when you have it closed right here. So it is not the thinnest device anymore. It is just under 3 centimeters thick, I think. The whole thing weighs, as I said, 1.7 kilograms, so it's pretty heavy, but it is definitely a lovely combination of mobility and a lot of hardware in this device. So this has been the Medion Akoya P2211T, and I was rolling with Mobile Geeks, and I will see you later, hopefully. Thank you, guys.